And if these two have any shame whatsoever, there's only one appropriate course of action. Take down your podcast and apologize for being child murder supporting pieces of shit.
I've gotten a lot of hate over the years, but somebody accusing me of literally being a child murderer might be a new one. We're going to break down a wild video from a transgender TikTok creator calling me out and accusing me of murder and so much more. On today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast, my daily show where we take on the craziest ideas from across the internet, our media, and our politics, all from an independent perspective. Up first, guys, we're going to talk about this really crazy video by a transgender content creator calling me and Clarkson Lawson out. The context here that you need to know is that over on my second channel, I started doing a series called Normal Gays, where Clarkson and I react to crazy LGBT discourse and news stories and social media videos. The link to check out that channel and subscribe if you haven't yet will be in the description. But anyway, we did a video responding to a TikTok trans content creator who claimed that Puerto Rico's new law banning gender transition for those under 21 was literally going to kill children. And so we responded to that and explained that we didn't actually agree with the law as applied to 18, 19, and 20-year-olds who are adults and should be able to do with what they want, but we do support it for the under 18s, and there's no evidence or reason to believe that it will kill children. So that creator has now responded to our video and accused me of literal murder and also apparently being a psychopath. But first, I'll just show you our video that triggered this person's rage. Take a listen.
Puerto Rico just criminalized HRT for people under 21. In other words, the government of Puerto Rico just decided trans people deserve to suffer, and they killed a significant number of trans kids and young trans adults. I am tired of the cruelty. I am tired of evil people attacking and scapegoating our community. I am tired of the fucking morons who consider baseless hatred equal to reason, evidence, and fact. I am tired of people who consider dead children to be an acceptable alternative to being the slightest bit introspective.
She, her seems stable.
Yeah, the dead children thing really pisses me off. God, it's such a bad argument, and it's really the reason why nobody believes anything they say.
It's not based on evidence. There is no evidence, to be clear. The ACLU lawyer even admitted this before the Supreme Court. There is no evidence that transition treatments for children reduce suicide. That is a myth. There's not evidence supporting it. Comprehensive reviews of the literature have found that you really can't even assert with evidence that these treatments, puberty blockers or hormone therapies, improve mental health at all. You certainly cannot assert that they reduce suicides, yet they do so over and over again. It is emotional guilt trip propaganda meant to tell us, to force us, to emotionally blackmail us. I will not fall for that.
It's really sick. And I don't think this creator is even aware of that. But what I find disturbing is the nonprofits that have pushed this lie and the doctors who have pushed this lie, because they are smart enough to know that it's not true.
I do actually have extremely mixed feelings about this Puerto Rico law. Up to 18, restriction, complete support. What are your thoughts on the 18 to 21-year-olds being blocked from doing it?
I mean, personally, I think if you're an adult, you should be able to smoke a cigarette, have a beer. If you can die for your country, you should be able to do all of those things. You should have autonomy over your body. You should be able to make those decisions. So I don't necessarily agree because we've set 18 as the standard of being an adult.
On the one hand, I have heard a lot of stories of people who were 19 when they did it, or who were 18 when they did it, and have serious regrets and what have you. And your brain is not fully developed at 18 or 19 to make life-altering permanent decisions. Ultimately, though, I do believe adults should be able to access this stuff legally. It's their bodies, it's their lives, they are legal adults. Maybe doctors should have more caution if somebody's just turned 18 about doing it right away, rather when they're still so young and they're impressionable. So we tried to make a relatively calm and dispassionate argument here and refute some of the talking points and explain our position on this. But this individual, who is a trans TikTok creator, did not take kindly to it and issued a really truly scathing response video that was quite something. Let's listen to the first part of that now.
Puerto Rico just criminalized HRT for people under 21. In other words, the government of Puerto Rico just decided trans people deserve to suffer, and they killed a significant number of trans kids and young trans adults.
It is emotional guilt trip propaganda meant to tell us, to force us, to emotionally blackmail us. I will not fall for it.
Oh no, the pick-me's are after me. I normally don't start my videos this way, but I really think that people like this need to be raked over the coals, so make sure to engage with this video so that it gets boosted in the algorithm. I find it really funny how every time the people who support child killing and discrimination get told that they're supporting child killing and discrimination, they call it emotional blackmail. If you have no emotions about the killing of children, that's a you problem. It's giving psychopath. And you know what else, buddy? You picked the wrong woman's content to use, because I'm petty as and unlike you, I do my research.
So I have a lot to say in response to this first clip and then the rest of the video, which only gets more unhinged. And I'm going to give you my take on it all after this. AI is the future, and there's really no question whether AI will change everything, because it already has. Are you positioning yourself to win in the new AI economy, or are you watching from the sidelines? And that's why I'm excited to introduce the 2-day AI Mastermind class happening this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. There are 2 days of sessions with expert mentors, 16 hours of learning about 10 and more AI tools. You go from an AI rookie to an AI pro, and you can learn the skills to stay relevant for the next decade. This training normally costs $895, but I've partnered with Outskill, the world's biggest AI education platform, to give away 1,000 free seats to my loyal viewers. But this is only available for the next 72 hours, and it totals up to $900,000 in free training given away. Whether you're from human resources, marketing, sales, operations, or even running your own business or freelancing, folks from all backgrounds will love this and find it valuable. So make sure your calendars are cleared for the weekend. The training is scheduled for this coming Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on both days. Now, guys, here's something even crazier. If you sign up now and attend using the link in the description, you can also get bonuses worth up to $5,100, which you can see on the screen. So go to the link in the description and sign up for this weekend's sessions to learn the AI skills you'll need to stay relevant in the future economy. Save your seat now before it expires. You'll be glad you did. The first thing that stood out to me about this video is it's so hostile and really very personal, which is interesting because I don't really think we were that way so much towards the creator. Yeah, the idea that we are pick-me's is something that stood out to me because I don't really think that's true. For context, guys, pick me refers to a member of a minority group who sells out and panders to the people that hate that minority group. If all we did was make fun of woke LGBT people or whatever, maybe you could ascribe that label to us. But on the Normal Gaze series, we're also pushing back on right-wing homophobia and pointless right-wing outrage against different issues. I mean, we did a video calling out Matt Walsh that got a lot of views and a lot of controversy and pushback from people. So it's just not true that we're only, appealing blindly to the people that hate us or whatever. So I don't really find that particularly persuasive or compelling as a critique. Now, I don't know if this person just doesn't understand what we were saying, because they're like, if you have no emotions about the killing of children, no, we fundamentally don't agree that that's what's happening here. We disagree with the premise of everything you've claimed, which is that banning child sex changes leads to more trans kids committing suicide and therefore is child murder. We don't think that's true. So we're not saying that we don't care about kids dying. We're rejecting the premise on factual grounds. And again, that's why I call it an emotional guilt trip or emotional blackmail, because that's exactly what's happening here. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't really think that opposing minors making irreversible medical decisions on fundamentally experimental treatments that can leave them with lifelong infertility and sexual dysfunction, I don't think opposing that makes me a psychopath. I just don't. But maybe I'm wrong. Now let's get into the substance here, where this person explains all the research that they've done that I, as somebody who's covered this issue for years in great detail, apparently am just not familiar with. Let's hear this person out more. It's not based on evidence. There is no evidence to be...
No evidence, you say? Here are 2 literature reviews of a combined 31 studies that show unambiguously that puberty blockers and gender-affirming care benefit the mental health of trans youth. Oh, was that not specific enough? Here's 3 more studies showing that gender-affirming care and puberty blockers are associated with a 40% to 73% reduction in suicidality. In the face of the cold hard facts, anyone that would deny this care to trans kids is necessarily endorsing the loss of these children's lives. That's f***ing murder. No excuses. And if you feel like that's emotional blackmail, guess what? Facts don't care about your feelings.
Wow. So there's a lot to unpack there. But the first thing I want to point out is the immediate goalpost shifting that happened here. The original claim was about suicide, was about transgender kids killing themselves because they don't have access to HRT. And so what you would need to justify that argument is significant evidence and research showing that access to gender transition treatments reduces suicide or maybe suicide attempts among transgender identifying youth. This person then brought up a bunch of studies that have nothing to do with suicide or suicide attempts. Improved mental health is not suicide attempts. Now, also, the problem is that when you actually look at literature reviews that evaluate the quality of studies, these repeatedly have concluded, whether you're talking about the University of York, the Cass Review, the Health and Human Services Review, or many of the other ones that have been conducted, they find that there is not evidence proving that these treatments benefit mental health or reduce suicidality. That not conclusively so. But like even then, that's not what we're talking about here. Just improved mental health is not what the original claim or argument was about. Even suicidality, that study that actually, and we'll get into this person explicitly cites a study that says the opposite of what they think it says. Suicidality refers to suicidal thinking, which has only a very tenuous relationship, according to the CDC, with actual suicide attempts. So even that study does not directly address this point. Now, why? Right? Since there's so much evidence and this person did so much research, would they not present a single study relevant to their actual point? Well, because no study proving their point exists. The health reporter Benjamin Ryan tweeted, "Only one study has ever directly assessed whether prescribing cross-sex hormones to youth with gender dysphoria is associated with a statistically significant independent difference in the suicide death rate among them. The study found no such association. Therefore, claims such as these that denying such treatment to minors will lead to suicide are not evidence-based." He then linked to that study. In the same way, the Cass Review reviewed all of the evidence, all of the studies, and many of them are very flawed and have serious methodological issues that make their findings nearly useless. When you look at the high-quality studies, the Cass Review concluded, "It has been suggested that hormone treatment reduces the elevated risk of death by suicide in this population, but the evidence found did not support this conclusion." This finding is so robust that even the ACLU attorney, Chase Strangeau, the radical trans activist who fought against bans on minors transitioning at the Supreme Court, during the oral arguments, explicitly admitted that there is no evidence linking transgender care for minors to reduce suicide. Listen to this clip.
But on page 195 of the Cass report, it says, there is no evidence that gender affirmative treatments reduce suicide.
What I think that is referring to is there is no evidence in the studies that this treatment reduces completed suicide. And the reason for that is completed suicide, thankfully and admittedly, is rare, and we're talking about a very small population of individuals with studies that don't necessarily have completed suicides within them.
So you can disagree with me if you want, I suppose. And I've never denied that there are some very low quality and deeply flawed studies that do suggest some of the points that this person is making. The point is that comprehensive reviews of the literature do not support this. Systemic reviews that evaluate studies by their quality and reliability do not support these conclusions. And then that these conclusions you're making aren't even directly relevant to the original point. So I absolutely think it is totally fair to dispute the factuality of everything that you've said, and doing so does not, in fact, make one a child murderer. And I again come back to the point about how condescending this person is, about how you mess with the wrong person. I do my research, unlike you, ignorant person, when one of the studies that they flashed on screen has actually been totally debunked by the journalist Jesse Singal. And if you go and you look at his article about it, I'll link in the description. The study, the 2002 study by Tordoff et al., claimed to say that it found reduced suicidality, but the actual data, and the authors have confirmed this in their own study, they did statistical sleight of hands to try to bolster different conclusions, show no improvement in the mental health of the people who were given these treatments. They did not improve over the time of the study. And yet that study is cited to claim reduced suicidality. Like, seriously. So this person thinks that Googling things or asking ChatGPT for a list of surveys, studies that affirm your pre-existing position is like extensive research, and that people who disagree with them must have not done any research at all. That is not, in fact, the case, actually. But go off, I guess. What do I know, though? Apparently, I get all my information from Fox News or something. Take a listen to this third clip. But first, guys, make sure to subscribe if you aren't. Hit that like button while you're at it. Remember, you can also listen to the Brad versus Everyone podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get audio podcasts. Also, send in your voicemails for my Voicemail Friday episodes where I listen to your woke horror stories, your personal life scenarios, and answer any questions you guys have for me. The link to send one of those in is in the description, as always. And now let's listen to this next piece of this video calling us out, me and Clarkson. Guys, remember to go subscribe to that other channel where we're posting those videos. It's all totally different content than what you get on this channel. So take a listen to this final clip.
You would know this if you had done the slightest modicum of research, but hey, why pay any attention to the actual peer review when you could just uncritically accept Fox News headlines like a good little bootlicker?
What I find disturbing is the nonprofits that have pushed this lie and the doctors who have pushed this lie, because they are smart enough to know that it's not true.
Ah, there's that classic right-wing conspiratorial thinking. The world doesn't match up with what you believe? Better invent a conspiracy. We're talking about the medical and scientific consensus supported by dozens of studies across decades, along with the lived experience of thousands of trans people across the world. What these two morons are describing would require a top-to-bottom conspiracy involving thousands of doctors and scientists, all lying and scheming to the point that not only does the research pass all peer review, but the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the World Health Organization, and more have all fully endorsed gender-affirming care as the evidence-based best treatment. Which seems more likely? That conspiracy, or that two morons on a podcast have zero clue what the f*** they're talking about?
Well, again, this person just seems so lovely, but so much personal hostility. I will not reciprocate in that. But one, I mean, as I explained before, this person is totally misstating and mischaracterizing the evidence and research on this issue, which I do, in fact, know a fair amount about. I have reported on and covered it for years. But regardless, a couple points here. One is that major American medical associations support this care for minors. That's true. That is true. Now, where you're wrong is that therefore this thing must be infallible or true or good. These same medical associations also supported lobotomies and many other. They've been on the wrong side of many medical controversies and developments over the decades. They are not in fact infallible. They've also been on the right side of a number of things. I mean, I'm not saying they're terrible organizations or always wrong, but they're also not always right either. And this person seems to just totally ignore the fact that international health authorities increasingly are taking the opposite position of American health and medical associations, like the National Health Services in the United Kingdom, the Swedish National Board of Health and Welfare, the Norwegian Healthcare Investigation Board, the French National Academy of Medicine. All these organizations have reached different conclusions on these issues than the American Medical Association and the APA and other US organizations. So to say like you're just denying every expert in the world's opinion is not true. And I don't accept the idea that just because the experts say something, it must be true and infallible, especially when you're representing a consensus of experts that doesn't in fact exist. Secondly, I think this person may be misunderstanding, or maybe me and Clarkson weren't clear enough in the original clip. I don't think anyone alleges really that these medical associations are knowingly lying about the state of research when they make claims about these treatments that are not in fact backed up by evidence. I think it's more so that they're blinded by ideology and that they've been ideologically captured by activists who are also physicians or psychiatrists or what have you. And these people truly believe in like gender ideology and gender transition as almost some part of their belief system. And then they kind of twist the evidence to fit that worldview. That's actually something that happens all the time in many walks of life, people's bias overriding, their ability to objectively analyze research or facts. And that's what we're suggesting. We're not suggesting some conspiracy of deceit. So not sure you fully understood our point there, my friend. Okay, one final clip from this that I want to show you, because apparently I am now supposed to apologize and delete my podcast. Let's listen.
And if these two have any shame whatsoever, there's only one appropriate course of action. Take down your podcast and apologize for being child murder supporting pieces of shit.
I will not, in fact, be apologizing to anyone for anything, nor will we be taking down our podcast. But thank you for your feedback, I guess. Remember, guys, actually, not only are we not taking down the Normal Gaze podcast, we are expanding and uploading content on that channel, my second channel, every single day. Exclusive content that you won't find on this main feed for the Brad versus Everyone podcast. So make sure you subscribe. Make this person cry by go and subscribing to and even promoting further our content pushing back on the insanity. The link to do that is in the description. But what do you guys think? Do you think this person effectively called me out? Do you agree that I am basically a child murderer? I genuinely want to hear your thoughts, and make sure you're subscribed while you're at it. Up next, today's a day that ends in Y. So the Democratic star, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, is crashing out and engaging in hyperbole that strains credulity and makes me roll my eyes so hard I give myself a headache. She has just come up with a new nickname for Donald Trump. This is Jasmine Crockett, the Texas Democrat and Congresswoman that I'm not a huge fan of, and apparently neither is Trump, but I do want to get y'all's thoughts on this. Take a listen to the one and only Jasmine Crockett.
Everyone that's been asking, where are the Democrats? Well, here they are. For everyone that's been asking, where is the fight? Well, here it is. But let me tell you something. Don't leave them out on the ledge by themselves. They need to know that you, the American people, stand with them because they are standing for you. There's so many people that they will never meet, but they understand the importance of making sure that they have a voice when it comes to their government. They understand the importance of standing for what democracy is and making sure that it does not fall by the wayside. They understand that we have a Timo Hitler in the White House right now that thinks that he is going to become the dictator of the United States. Well, I got another thing to tell you, sir.
Y'all, I have Hitler fatigue. Like, have people really only read one chapter of history that they can ever compare anything to? That's what it gives, by the way, this constant invocation of Hitler. And Timo Hitler, she's saying it's like he's the knockoff version of Hitler, which is kind of funny, but again, unhinged. And I'm sorry, like, Jasmine Crockett, serious question. How many Jewish people has Donald Trump killed? Seriously, how many millions of people has he put on trains and brought to death camps? Like, seriously, I don't know how it's okay to just constantly invoke Hitler and the Holocaust as routine political rhetoric, even when situation and circumstances are nowhere near that. How does that not belittle the suffering of the victims of the Holocaust? How is that not a tremendous insult to the Jewish people and the many other victims of the Nazis? To me, it is. To me, it very much is. But this is a very common thing you hear from Democrats. I mean, Jasmine Crockett is getting more attention for saying it this time, but she said this multiple times. Here's another clip of her breaking out the Timo Hitler line.
They have decided that the only way that they can bring about this white supremacy agenda is by diluting the voices of people of color. And so what we have seen is, again, this rogue Department of Justice going out to do the bidding of this Timo Hitler.
I just don't understand why Democrats think this is going to work. Like, you know, if we just call Trump Hitler for the 10,000th time, it'll work this time. Like, no. The alarmism and hyperbole has helped Trump. It has played into his hands. It has helped his supporters or people who are sympathetic to him dismiss the many legitimate critiques of him, the many actual things where he's gone too far, the many serious flaws he does have. Well, oh, they all have Trump derangement syndrome, or they all just think he's Hitler. It's like when they're so dialed up to 10 on everything. I think Trump genuinely has done some scary stuff, some authoritarian stuff, refusing to enforce the federal law about the TikTok ban because he doesn't feel like it, arresting people for writing op-eds criticizing Israel, incarcerating immigrants in foreign prisons with no due process at taxpayer expense. Like, all of this, very fertile ground, very fair criticism, but he's not literally Hitler. And the constant alarmism and hyperbole discredits them. I don't know how many times do Republicans have to win before they realize that? Genuine question. Now, Trump, of course, can't resist getting into the mud with people, so he had to respond to Jasmine Crockett's criticisms, and he decided to call her low IQ. Take a listen to that clip.
And I won the election in a landslide. And obviously, that's only, we're only 6 months in. But my poll numbers are better now, much better than during the election. And now part of that is because the Democrat Party is self-destructing. I mean, when you have low IQ people like Crockett, I wonder if she's in a relationship to the late, great Davy Crockett, who was a great gentleman. I wonder if she's got any relationship to Davy Crockett, the great old Davy Crockett. But you have this woman Crockett. She's a very low IQ person. Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding. The Democrats are lost. They have Trump derangement syndrome so bad that they can't walk, they can't talk, they don't know where they're going. Schumer is finished.
Now, people always, whenever Trump calls someone low IQ, they try to make it a race thing. He's like, he only calls black people low IQ. That's actually just not true. So he's also called Robert De Niro low IQ, Rick Perry low IQ, Mika Brzezinski low IQ, Jon Stewart low IQ, James Comey low IQ. So I don't really support Trump's just constant personal insults against people. I don't think it's dignified, or I think it's beneath the dignity that I expect of a president, but it's also not necessarily a race thing the way that many critics often make it out to be. He's kind of like that to everyone. So when they, again, cry racism in a situation where it's not appropriate, discredits any legit complaints they do have. So here is Jasmine Crockett's response to Trump, because you have to understand that politics, it's all basically professional wrestling at this point. Here's her response.
And so I want people to see him and understand who he is. This is a person that has a problem with people of color, period. I don't care how many black MAGA out there with their hats. I want to be clear, when we look at who it is that he's kicking out of this country is people of color. When we look at who he always disrespects and says that they are low IQ, even though when you look at his cabinet, this has to be the most incompetent cabinet we have ever had in the history of this country. When we're talking about people that literally have the ability to drop bombs or order that bombs be dropped or make recommendations that bombs be dropped, and they literally don't know how to get the signal chat right. So we're talking about low IQ individuals, but so long as they say that this guy is their guy, and usually if they work for a certain news network, that's the only qualification that's necessary. I've got news for the president. I am not going anywhere. No matter how many squiggly lines they draw in the state of Texas, I will be back, and I will be on his behind and making sure the real accountability that the American people are demanding, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents, that it is had when the Democrats take control of this House in the midterms.
She really thought she cooked. She really thought she ate. But like who is he deporting? People of color. No, he's deporting illegal immigrants. Many, but not all. Certainly not all of whom are non-white. Some are white, but yes, the vast majority aren't, because they come from countries where people are not white. But most certainly aren't black people either. There aren't a whole lot of black illegal immigrants. It's just, you're again racializing the issue that is about immigrant status, not race. Shocker, Jasmine Crockett crying racism in an irrelevant situation. And then I definitely think Trump has said offensive things about race over the years, but I don't think that it's accurate to say he has a problem with people of color. I think the truth is he'll love a person of color if they like him. The truth is, like, he's egotistical, and he likes anyone who likes him and hates anyone who doesn't like him. So a black person is a Trump supporter, he will love that person. A black person is not a Trump supporter, he will hate that person. So I just don't really think it's true that he has blanket problem with people of color. I just find the whole Timu, Hitler, constant crying racism about everything, I find it all exhausting. I, again, think it discredits the legitimate critiques of Trump that can and should be made. And it's funny because Jasmine Crockett plays the victim and acts like this is all so horrible. But whether Trump realizes it or not, I mean, this all feeds into her hands. Like, she loves this. She loves the president insulting her and calling her low IQ because it makes her more popular with progressives. I'm sure it sends her fundraising numbers skyrocketing. I'm sure it gets her more MSNBC and CNN interviews. Like, politics makes more sense when you realize that all these people, it's all a show, it's all an act. And at the end of the day, they're all frauds. At least that's what I think. But what do you guys think about this controversy? Do you agree with Jasmine Crockett that Trump is literally Timu Hitler? Let me know in the comments and hit that like button while you're at it. Okay, guys, one final story for today. We're going to watch some really interesting videos from a MAGA businessman who is going viral because he learned the hard way how tariffs actually work. Here is his first video from when Trump first announced his tariffs, where this guy who owns a company called, a Montana Knife Company, and they, of course, make knives. His name is Josh Smith. He explains why the tariffs won't hurt you if you just buy American. Let's listen to his original video.
All right, so I hear that Amazon is going to put a number next to the price of a product on their website to designate how much the tariff is of whatever you're buying on their website. At Montana Knife Company, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put a number next to the price as well. And that number is going to look a lot like the shape of this goose egg. Well, it's a chicken egg because I didn't have a goose. But anyway, this is the shape of the number that's going to be on our website next to our knives of how much tariff affects the prices of our knives. Because we've been preaching this all along. We're American made, buy American. You don't have to worry about this shit. Also, that is actually chicken shit on this egg, because we also raise our own chickens. But anyway, I digress. Buy American, make American made, and you don't have to worry about this shit. Except for the chicken shit.
So this video makes me roll my eyes because it's just incorrect on a number of levels. Whether you like tariffs or not, whether you support them or not, whether you think the benefits outweigh the costs or not. I don't. I'm not a tariff supporter. I support free trade. But it's just a fact that tariffs do lead to higher prices on specific goods. Not necessarily inflation and a higher price level overall, and that gets complicated, but they do lead to specific things getting more expensive. And that's actually kind of the point. He says, buy American and you don't have to pay the tariff, but that doesn't make sense for two key reasons. One is that even goods made in America rely on imports and materials that come from other countries almost all the time. There are very, very few products where the entire supply chain, even if it's made in America, all just comes from America. Given, all the resources and products and global supply chains, that's just not very realistic. So even many made in America products are affected by tariffs because their input costs get more expensive. And secondly, the whole point of tariffs in the first place is to help American businesses by allowing them to charge higher prices, because the foreign competition gets hit with this tariff, has to raise their price. It costs more. Now, the domestic companies can also raise their prices and make more money. That's literally the point. So even if you have an American supply chain and every step of the way, it's all American, those companies still raise their prices because all their competition just got priced out. So they have more wiggle room to raise their own prices and still be cheaper than the competition. No matter how you twist it, prices still get more expensive for certain things. And you can argue that it's worth it if you're a tariff supporter, and I am not. But you can't argue it doesn't happen at all, at least not without just denying reality and then having to learn the hard way, like this guy did. Here is his follow-up video where he goes over his own costs going up because he imports equipment and steel to make his knives, and so do his suppliers. Let's look at this.
All right, for those of you that say buy American-made equipment, the tariffs won't affect you. This is American-made heat treating furnaces. July 17th, 2024, base price $519. July 23rd, 2025, base price $612. The thermocouple interface upgrade, $14,900, $16,700. The loader, $10,200. The loader, $11,400. Two 1,000 gallon tanks, gas backup reservoirs, $39,400, $44,300. Spare parts kit, same stuff, $18,100, $20,400. So this is my point, and this is what I'm getting at. We're trying to build American manufacturing. This is American-made equipment, 100% made in America. This stuff has an effect. Again, I'm questioning, why is the cost of equipment to manufacture in America going up that drastically in 1 year? I'm not hating on the Trump administration. Again, I'm trying to point out that their policies need some adjustments. We should be focusing on finished goods coming in from overseas. We shouldn't be making the cost to buy equipment made in America for American manufacturers go up by this amount of money. $100,000 on the base price in 1 year.
So this guy is going mega viral because people are mocking him. I'm not mocking him. I actually give him a lot of credit because he didn't have to admit that he was wrong. He didn't have to post all these receipts. He could have just moved along and never admitted it. So I actually give him credit. I don't think he should be mocked. I don't necessarily blame him for just having a wrong economic opinion. I don't want harm to his business because he has that. And I do give him a lot of credit. It's very hard to admit when you're wrong, especially when you're doing social media and posting to millions of people. And I think he's done a public service, actually, by vlogging in real time, his realization of how tariffs actually work. And so I give him credit. I'm not condemning him. I'm not bashing him like a lot of people are for being honest with people and showing people how this stuff really works and how it's not avoidable and how the laws of economics are not optional, and how even if your goal is to help American manufacturers, tariffs often don't do that. In Trump's first term, he put these massive steel tariffs in place, and they helped some jobs in the steel industry, but they destroyed far more jobs in other manufacturing sectors that relied on steel as an input cost, and it got more expensive. That's extensively documented. Many studies reach that conclusion into it. So I really don't think this stuff works, this protectionist approach to trade policy. But even if you do think it works, even if you do support it, you have to acknowledge that there are costs involved. And if you don't, you might find out the hard way, like this guy did. What do you guys think? Have you seen this man's story going viral? Do you agree with him before, or do you agree with him now? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button while you're at it. All right, guys, that'll be it for today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Remember to send in your voicemails for my Voicemail Friday episodes, and we'll talk again real soon.